Back talking about the Steelers, who went to Philadelphia and came away with a 31-14 win. Looked impressive. A lot of different people on offense, especially Damone Patterson, who may be creating a roster spot. Who knows? Last year it was Mike Hilton. Who might it be this year? It could be him. Well, Graves, I want to get your assessment of the defense, however. There were still some sloppy plays out there, some missed tackles. They're trying this hybrid dollar package, bringing in 7 defensive backs. Do you think it's going to be a problem when the regular season begins?
I mean, they don't really do a lot of defensive game planning. It's mostly fundamentals, which is why maybe the tackling shouldn't be so great. And when Mike says they practiced 11 times in the first 12 days of camp, and Mike said it's because I'm going to practice at every opportunity because we have to get better at the things we were bad at last year. I'm not going to panic. I mean, it was the first game of the preseason, especially the second half. I mean, most of those guys are going to be looking for work in 3 weeks. That being said, I mean, I saw John Bostic make a play or two. I think he's maybe got the little edge there on Matakevich in terms of that middle linebacker spot. But I mean, let's be honest. The reality is, now is when life without Ryan Shazier really begins for these guys, and you can see it is just going to be a very different defense without 50 out there.
I mean, it's going to be a much lesser defense without Ryan Shazier out there. Tyler Matakevich looked completely overmatched. I know it's preseason. I get like all the caveats that automatically apply when we're talking about exhibition football. He got lost in the wash too often. Probably that was the most troubling thing. He just didn't show anything at the position, and sort of not equally troubling, but close, is that John Bostic, while he made a couple of plays, he was also very much in on the missed tackle parade. He took a real bad angle on Ajayi on that run from the 1-inch line that got them out of danger. I didn't like any of the tackling from the defense whatsoever, and I expect that that'll get better. I think Morgan Burnett's an established pro, but nothing I saw in that first game from the ones or the ones that were out there makes me think that this will be anything but another year where the offense tries to outscore people big time.
Well, I mean, I think we all know that the linebacker spot is probably what we're going to be watching all preseason and even into the season, especially without Ryan Shazier. What's troubling to me is the two guys that probably have to have the biggest year of anybody for that defense to really be the kind of defense that wins championships are both out, and they're both hurt right now or whatever. And to me, Bud Dupree and T.J. Watt both needed to have big camps and get ready for big seasons. If those two guys are ordinary, just ordinary like they were last year, and actually Dupree probably.
TJ was not ordinary.
And he was ordinary. Look, your two outside linebackers combined for 5.5 sacks. I don't want to hear about, oh, well, they dropped into coverage more and all that stuff. I get it. 5.5 is 5.5. They were both guys who had flashes here and there. They've got to be guys that have flashes every single week, and I don't know if they will. And with those inside linebackers, no matter who wins the job, I think it could be really, really difficult.
Don't worry, though, Paul, when it comes to Bud Dupree. I'm a little more bullish on Watt because it's only his second year. But don't worry. They're switching Bud Dupree to the quarterback's blind side, thinking maybe this player who hasn't produced whatsoever in his Steelers career will suddenly become better when the quarterback can't see him. It's like a Monty Python skit happening on the outside linebacker spot.
All right, I don't know. I would say the only thing I still, whenever you think about Bud Dupree, I don't know what Steeler fans think of. I think of him almost ending Matt Moore's life in the playoff game, and I think there's still that maybe you can get that every week, maybe 3 or 4 snaps. Would you like to get it more? Yes, but he hasn't shown it. I still think there's potential there. But T.J. Watt was good last year, and I don't want to talk about it.
All right, we're going to talk about the quarterbacks now because everyone's focusing in on them. They never keep 4, likely keep 3, which means most likely Josh Dobbs will be out or at least playing for another job. Is there any way, Paul Zeise, you see that changing at all? With Landry Jones, I don't think he's done anything but solidified his spot as a backup.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a championship-level team, you're not going to go into a season with 2 rookies at your backup quarterback spot. You're just not. If Ben Roethlisberger goes down 4 or 5 weeks, you need to have a guy that has proven he can win games in the NFL. And Landry Jones, for all the faults and everything we pick apart about him, he's proven he can win games. So, to me, they didn't draft Mason Rudolph to cut him, so I don't see how Joshua Dobbs makes this team, and no matter what happens the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs threw a dime to Patterson for that touchdown. It was a great catch, and it was a great throw, and I'm hoping that other teams, because Josh Dobbs seems like a pretty nice guy, smart kid, I hope other teams took notice because he's certainly not playing for a job on the Steelers. This is Landry Jones, very obviously the number 2. The way they treated him, he comes out, plays 1 series, gets 2 series, gets the long touchdown to Juju, and then hit the showers. That pretty much shows me he's the number 2, and they just want to see what they have with Mason Rudolph as far as his development curve. Josh Dobbs is not going to make this team.
And to me, one of the things that was most impressive about what Dobbs did, I mean, think about it. I mean, he hadn't played in a competitive situation in a stadium with people in it and lights on since last August, right? I mean,
Yep.
even Rudolph played, 13, 14 games for Oklahoma State last year. So to me, that was pretty impressive. I think he will get a job somewhere else when the rosters reshuffle, unless there's – the only way that they keep 4 is if one of them gets hurt, right?
All right.
That's the only way that I can see that happening.
That could be it, and you never know. That happened a few times in the past where somebody does go on IR and it opens up a spot, so there's a long way to go. Now, though, it's time to go round the horn for this week's Smooth Moves, brought to you by Pittsburgh's largest supplier of the smoothest granite, marble, and quartz countertops you're going to find. That's Armina Stone. So we look for smooth moves. We'll start top to bottom. Chris, you're first.
My smooth move goes to Brooks Koepka, who we might talk about here in a little bit, but who won the PGA Championship. You wouldn't know it because they only cared about Tiger Woods. Brooks Koepka wins, goes to his mom. Hey, how are you, Mom? That's ice water right there. That's smooth.
I'm going to go with the San Francisco Giants for retiring Barry Bonds' number, something that probably should be done in Pittsburgh. Look, I'm get my Hall of Fame vote in 2 years. I hope I'm part of the group that puts him over the top. We can talk about the steroids. My 9-year-old has thoughts on it. He's one of the 5 best players of all time and should be the Hall of Fame. Good for the Giants.
Well, you know what? My smooth move is I'm wearing red on Sunday in honor of Tiger Woods. That's who my smooth move.
You just shanked your drive on 17,
We thought
Paul.
this guy
But he one-putted it to get back in play.
We thought this guy would never play. Never play at a high level again. We thought he'd never compete in majors again. We were not even sure he'd ever even play again. And today he shot a 64 on a Sunday. I don't know. To me, he looks like a guy that has at least maybe one more major in him.
Yeah, that's best final round for him in a major ever at 64. And the back surgeries, that's a lot to overcome, but he has done that. In fact, we're going to talk about that when we come back. But that's our Smooth Moves of the Week, brought to you by Armina Stone. It's Pittsburgh's largest supplier of indoor stone gallery, granite, marble countertops imported from all over the world. Smoothest countertops to your area. Score a touchdown with Armina Stone. So we'll talk Tiger and we'll talk PGA Championship next.